Hello friends, this is Theo Cedar Jones on January 16th, 2015, and we're gearing up for the big 2015 campaign, which is to establish the global cooperative forum and global cooperative culture effectively on planet Earth. And I need to extend an invitation to various representatives of other traditions outside of Adi Dam, outside of our Not to His Peace open conversation as it has existed so far, and make a case for why they should get involved with the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers right away and combine themselves with Adida's teaching about how to make the world a survivable place and a sustainable place for everybody all at once. And what this means is really making a kind of logical case between awakened people on the one hand and their role politically. And how does awakening show itself and express itself in the political field, if at all? And if you read Not to His Peace, it's pretty clear to me that a new civilization based on egolessness and a free union of renunciate messengers based on awakened renunciates is at the core of human culture and society in its new form. That is to say, if we're going to excise this ego basis for civilization, as Adida has done, and is emerging more all the time, is that the old basis is over. The ego basis for civilization is over. And the new forms of civilization have not emerged yet, except for this tiny little pocket of open conversation that we've maintained, this flicker of light for Not to His Peace and Adida's word in the world. So, how do we make the connection between the awakened people and their political obligations, really? Adida spells out that it's obligation of everybody, certainly, but especially awakened people to actually step forward in leadership, in governance of global affairs, and also in the sense of wise guidance and right example. If the awakened people on planet Earth can't cooperate with each other and overcome the divides of their tradition and particular orientation, then we're truly fucked, right? If the awakened people can't get it together for cooperation, how we expect all these other egos who are not yet awakened to cooperate? So awakened people, now is the time for you to step forward, join us in our open conversation about the ideas and principles in Adida's book, Not to His Peace, and let's rally around Adida's word and wisdom and presence in person as the egoless true principle of new civilization. And you, the awakened people, are its best and truest guiders and guidance if you can cooperate and be part of an internet conversation where we learn a new way of being together than has ever been done before. So in the light of this proposal and extending this invitation to you, I'm going to read unapproved, unauthorized, and unpublished notes by Adida from a period of 2006 to 2008, when he was making a very strong, almost it seems to me a daily address to his devotees and to all people, all of humanity, about what we should do. Us, you and I, everybody, about the world situation. What does Adida have to say about what humanity is supposed to do to survive the multiple crises that are abroad at the present time? So if you want to know, you're about to find out. I'm going to read extensively from what we're calling the notes about the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers by Adida Samraj. This is from the Social Wisdom Manual, which is now available. It starts with 4 quotes. 1. A global cooperative forum representing humankind as a whole would operate based on the principle of prior unity, meaning an acknowledgement of the fundamental unity of humanity. and of all existence. The human family would be represented at a global cooperative forum by morally enlightened leaders capable of moving the world population into a separatism transcending view, and thus into modes of cooperation. The human family would be represented at a global cooperative forum by morally enlightened leaders capable of moving the world population into a separatism transcending view, and thus into modes of cooperation. On the basis of the working presumption of prior unity, such a global cooperative forum would deal with all the urgent issues that humankind has in common. Number 2. By their very nature, renunciates are universalized personalities that transcend tribalism. FURM, or the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers, is an opportunity for such individuals from any and all traditions to become part of another kind of a voice than that to which they are fitted by their cultural association. And by being part of FURM, they can also be in a better position to guide even their own tradition out of the mind of tribalism and into the truly globalized human domain in which reality itself, truth itself, or that which is divine, is the core of all demonstration of human life and of all guidance of human beings. So there needs to be a unique role for renunciates, those who live the set-apart life. They can and should speak truth to power, truth in the world. Number 3, what is there that must survive? It is the pleasure dome context of life that must survive. The core of life, must be preserved as a pleasure dome of everything sacred, everything most profound, everything most intimate. The entire environment of the heart is the pleasure dome. That which woman is, that which she incarnates, that which her pattern is about, requires mankind to be integrated with it as the core of life. 4. If you get enough of those who know how to connect to numbers of people, you eventually have connection to 7 billion. Then you stand up in public, get on the internet, and you say, we are here, and this is how it is going to be. That's it. We are not going to work today until you change this. All the powers in the world depend on the 7 billion people going to work today. It all has to happen because the 7 billion say, we will not go to work today unless there is an agreement to bring this right order into the human domain. Then there will be no choice. That is a demand that has to be respected, and it makes all other power subordinate. The old moral, social, and political order of humankind is now dead. This is the moment when it will be decided what the future is going to be. The future is either going to be catastrophic disaster, or it is going to be the turnabout moment in human history in which humankind will step out of its dark ages of tribalism into a new mode of human cooperative order. This next handful of years is the period in which this choice has to be animated one way or the other. All generations now alive will have to make things right, or everything is lost. The entire world of humankind must enter into a perpetual global dialogue via a global cooperative forum, and thus and thereby establish and actively perpetuate a global cooperative order based on mutual cooperation, tolerance, real peace, and the principle of prior unity. In this manner, all nation-states must, in a global dialogue with the thus righteous voice of the people, be brought to agree to function as civilized nation-states, and thus and thereby to absolutely guarantee and to always actively uphold the two necessary basic human rights of unlimited physical participation and unlimited physical protection within their national boundaries. Likewise, all civilized nation-states must conform themselves to and remain subordinate to the righteous voice of the people, expressed collectively via the always continuous global cooperative forum of all of humankind. So, it is about using the internet as an organizing principle rather than as a talking mechanism. It's about mobilizing 7 billion people, more than giving them a way to talk. Of course, there is obviously talk, but it's a focused, orderly matter that deals with big picture issues that everybody can essentially, intrinsically, or tacitly immediately agree to, and that need to be represented by a functioning voice and the mechanism of 7 billion people prepared to act. In other words, you can have the institution function essentially in a virtual room. You don't have to have everybody in one place. And you can function in this conferencing manner with people all over the world in a single meeting. You can function globally as if in one room. And you don't have to move around. And you can manage then the institution as a global reality without having to be physically everywhere. Number 409. I remind everyone of this reference FURM. It's the first letters of the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers, but I pronounce it FURM as if spelled F-I-R-M in English language, the word firm. It means about standing firm, standing in the holiness place, the prior place, the position of reality itself, truth itself. To be in that unique position that is the position of a unique function then in the world. 52. A renunciate is someone who lives a life of complete commitment and fidelity to the root reality, reality itself. It can be referred to as God, but it is the domain of what is holy, what is set apart, what is prior. 56. Members of the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers must be free renunciates in that sense, simply a voice, coming from the heart of reality, the heart of the domain of concentration in which their lives are devoted, and practicing with such profundity that they can see and speak beyond the tribal confines of any tradition, and can simply cooperate with all other renunciates in a kind of single voice that can act as a wisdom influence relative to the global whole, relative to the global cooperative forum. 58. Those in FURM would be global renunciates, not merely renunciates within a tradition, speaking for that tradition, and certainly not political figures in the sense of having political office, but simply globally communicative people who live within the domain of renunciation and not just certain rules of behavior, but of profoundest practice, and are acknowledged as such within some cultural domain where they are observed and can be evaluated in these terms. '59. The Global Cooperative Forum and the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers must happen simultaneously and cooperatively. 62. There does need to be a renunciate root address to the Global Cooperative Forum, so it is not merely secularized or conventionalized along worldly lines, but has its roots in the voice and disposition of reality, or that which is divine. 66. Free renunciates need to bring the message of divine truth from the heart of reality itself. So it is a free voice. It is simply and effectively the divine voice, the voice of wisdom, the voice of reality. 74. So renunciates are not merely morally superior. They are at the root of all culture. And by their very nature, renunciates are universalized personalities that transcend tribalism. FURM is an opportunity for such individuals from any and all traditions to become part of another kind of a voice than that to which they are fitted by their cultural association. And by being part of FURM, they can also be in a better position to guide even their own tradition out of the mind of tribalism and into the truly globalized human domain in which reality itself, truth itself, or that which is divine, is the core of all demonstration of human life and of all guidance of human beings. 90. So there needs to be a unique role for renunciates, those who live the set-apart life. They can and should speak truth to power, truth in the world. 91. FURM is my position, Adida's position, in relation to the Global Cooperative Forum. 94. It's not about having to become activists necessarily in any other sense, other than standing with these words of mine, and then confirming the position of renunciation as I've characterized it. It should cover all traditions, all renunciates, celibate renunciates, set-apart renunciates from all over the world as a single voice. Basically, all renunciates at once. Basically, all renunciates all at once. 95. It is a way for the basket of tolerance and the great tradition to be communicated. FURM must be about people responding to my communication about FURM, about renunciates and their role, and therefore what is required to be part of FURM. So it is about agreeing to stand with me relative to what I've communicated. It is about them putting their name to FURM and giving cooperative solidarity to that advocacy, which can then be represented in the world by various spokespersons. 100. Those who agree with what I am saying should enter into this instrument of FURM with me. 117. So how do all renunciates establish prior unity with one another? By being founded in the principles of reality itself rather than the factional or sectarian principles that make them different from one another. By having all renunciates stand for fundamentals that have to do with truth itself. 120. Renunciates, in the context of FURM, are affirming the principle of prior unity, non-difference, relative to one another and relative to the entire context of human existence. So, I am calling for FURM. And to become part of FURM, renunciates would have to agree to this understanding and stand with me and stand for this principle of non-difference. Prior unity, not two-ness, and therefore be a voice, a messenger collectively relative to this principle. 205. What is holy is being desecrated all over the earth. All esotericism is being lost. It has become muddled and desecrated. It's been turned over to the lay domain, where it is being debased, degraded, exploited, and misunderstood, and essentially discarded and destroyed. What is holy must be set apart again. And renunciates are its means, and FURM is a fundamental means, if it is applied. 206. Renunciates must be in their free or holy position, even in association with the traditions. And the totality of lay practitioners must see to it that the holy persons and what is holy altogether are set apart, not compromised, not desecrated, and preserved. This is a fundamental thing to be understood, so there is a way to preserve the holy source in every tradition and in the world altogether. The lay gathering of human beings, which is most of humankind, it is their responsibility. But it is not one of ownership of what is holy, and it is not one of being in a position of anything but a completely surrendered servant, such that what is holy is uncompromised and senior to all. What is esoteric is what is holy. It is not merely a matter of commerce. 210. And it must be preserved through realization, not merely through lore and literature. 211. Renunciates have the office of preserving the holy sources of traditions through complete submission to the process of realization. This is how they preserve what is holy, not merely by containing it, but by realizing it, and then being set apart in it. This is the most profound function in the world, and it must be preserved, just as earth must be preserved. 212. Publications are to be made available to renunciates. 213. And there are other modes of my teaching likewise, but these fundamental, primary, summary statements likewise should be made available to them, the renunciates. You have that scattered throughout books, and some of them you haven't even published yet. These are key statements. relatively brief, and they epitomize this otherwise fully elaborated, vast teaching. So you want somebody to get at it at the root. Then you have to provide them something summary and brief, and I've written just such things. 2:15. The secularization of what is holy, or the desecration of what is holy, is fundamental to the gross political, social, and cultural process in the world. So there needs to be a restoration of the position of holiness or set-apartness. 2:22. The body of authentic celibate renunciates must stand for that which is holy, keep it set apart, keep it prior, keep it speaking purely. And yes, there is a dimension to wisdom that is about right life. But to reduce the wisdom voice to a right life communication is to desecrate it. The wisdom voice is about truth, not about social egoity. It's not merely about worldly order. It is about that which is divine, egoless, perfectly free, and most profound. Generally, this is lost in the discourse in the world presently. The discourse in the world is thoroughly secularized and involved in a process of desecration of what is holy, of what is most profound, what is divine, what is transcendental, what is spiritual, what is perfect, what is free, what is enlightenment, therefore, real God realization. The secularization of that is the desecration of it. 2:51. They would serve within their own traditions. Fundamental to what they would do there is bring an influence to people that overcomes their fundamentalism or overcomes their dissociative identification with their tradition, and therefore also all their aggressiveness about it. So, members of FURM should have an influence with their traditions to make them able to function in the larger world of everybody, without being there to simply dominate, win, and abuse others and mock other traditions. 2:52. So, it is not an ecumenical kind of gathering, FURM. It is greater than that. Just as the Global Cooperative Forum is greater than a United Nations model, FURM is different than an ecumenical kind of model where everybody with their particular identity and separate orientation and competitive disposition sort of gets together at a big round table and sort of make bland speeches as if they are accepting one another, when they are really just trying to compete with one another and want to starkly represent their difference all the time, because they are incapable of a universalized view that transcends traditional prejudices. They are all, to one degree or another, sort of fundamentalists about their own tradition, even the most liberal among them. 196. And I've indicated that it is essential to begin with the individuals who are prominent, actually already functioning in the domain of global process, become associated with the Global Cooperative Forum, and everything about these ideas which I presented, about how it should function and on what basis. If they stand together for it, and all at once, suddenly appear with all of this intention, then that has a great deal of influence on others. 191. Leonardo DiCaprio made that film on global warming and has an activist disposition that should completely coincide with what I'm communicating. He is in film, so he could perhaps be one of those who is one of the principals involved in making it happen than appearing in it. 192. Look at all the global interest in the Harry Potter series. The books, movies. It's a vast industry in and of itself. What could be done with Not To His Piece in terms of a film or even a series of films would exceed that many times over? It would have to be that kind of interesting and that kind of superior production altogether. That's just a recent example of something that has caught on through film and books and so on, and the whole world of promotion to arouse global interest. Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. There are others of these kinds of films, the Matrix series. 211. So, what kind of a convocation or event, ongoing process of events, is going to serve the world and converting its understanding to truth? That is 0 point education. It's about educating and changing people and not getting them to say their say or merely represent their fraction of the great tradition and get to leave unscathed. Truth is actually the point, and everybody is in danger of being transformed. Truth has to be able to be uttered without compromise and make its point. It is transformative. Naked emperors are out, finished, and we don't exactly require any more well-dressed emperors either, just the truth. Truth is not an emperor. Here ends this recitation from the Free Union of Renunciate Messengers Notes by Adidas Samraj. This is part 1. Stay tuned for further installments because it looks like we've got about, this is 30 minutes long. I would say we're going to have at least 3 more 30-minute readings to finish just this 40-page social wisdom manual. Thank you very much. This is Theo Cedar Jones.